So for those of you who are just joining us, we're going to give it a few more minutes before we start the meeting as others start to join us in our Zoom platform. And as people are coming in as attendee, as our default, as people join a meeting, we will promote individuals to panelists so you can control your own microphone, mute and unmute yourself to make comments as needed. Give it one more minute and then we'll get started.
Good morning, Sam.
Morning, Elisa. We're just giving it a little bit longer for those who are just joining and getting into the Zoom platform.
Sounds good. Thank you. I'll be mute for a bit.
Well, good morning, everyone. We'll go ahead and kick off today's meeting, November 4th, of the San Diego Regional Conformity Working Group. As a reminder, this meeting is being recorded and will be posted onto the SANDAG webpage as a recording of the meeting. I'll go through right now and read off the list of names that I have as far as who's attending, and then if there's anybody I missed, I'll ask them to chime in as well. So my name is Sam Sanford. I'm with SANDAG. We're also joined by Linda Simio, who is helping on the production side. She'll be stepping off shortly. And we have Brittany Cabeje, who will be helping on production side. She's our new intern helping with long range planning as well. We're joined by Elisa Arias from SANDAG. We have Lexi Ariano from Caltrans headquarters, along with Lucas Sanchez, Maurice Eaton, and Michelle Blake from District 11 Caltrans, Nick Cormier from San Diego APCD, Phil Traum and Richard Radcliffe from SANDAG, Rusty Weissman from FTA, Stephanie Parent from CARB, Sue Alpert from SANDAG, and Joseph Fawn from Federal Highway Administration. Is there anyone that I missed? I know names keep on popping up as I was reading, so I don't know if somebody alphabetizes as it goes. All right. If anybody else, if I did miss anybody, please feel free to chime in as we go through today's agenda. So advancing one slide, we go right into, normally there's the meeting welcoming, but for this one, we actually are jumping right into, if I can advance the slide, the meeting minutes. So this is getting to agenda item number 1. So the agenda was sent out last Friday, August 30th, and then there was an update that was sent again just yesterday with an additional attachment for item number 4 that we'll get into when we get to that agenda item. But for agenda item number 1, we have the meeting minutes from the August 5th CWG meeting. So it's been a little while. And that starts on page 5 of your agenda. I want to pause here and see if there's any comments or corrections that anyone may have for the August 5th minutes. And I'm not hearing anything, and my apologies, I'm not great at seeing if there's any hands raised. So I have others like Brittany helping me monitor that side of the Zoom platform.
There's no hands raised, Sam. This is Linda.
Thank you, Linda. So we'll move on to item number 2, which are public comments, and then we'll get into member comments after that. So are there any members of the public that wish to address the Conformity Working Group today?
No raised hands.
Okay, thank you. And are there any member comments or member communications that anyone wishes to share? All right. If anything comes to mind, we'll have at the very end of the agenda, when we have our next meeting item, there anything else that comes up or comes to mind throughout the meeting, we can bring those up at that point. So moving on to our actual report section, we're going to start out with item number 3, which is the regional plan vision. So the regional plan, this is referring to the 2021 regional plan. And back in June 2019, staff brought information related to the 2021 regional plan regarding conformity criteria, including financial assumptions, growth forecast, the travel demand model, emissions modeling and budgets, the transportation control measures, and the public involvement and outreach process. As needed, we'll have an update coming to the CWG for any of those items that have changed over time, since that's been a little while since it's come to the CWG. But today's item is more on the vision aspect of the regional plan and how that's informing the development of the plan. So we're joined today by Phil Trom from the Long Range Transportation Planning Division at SANDAG, and he's going to walk us through some material related to the vision. Phil?
Great, thanks a lot, Sam. Good morning, everyone. What I'm going to do first is add to the chat. Let's see if this works here. Some questions that we're going to have kind of after we discuss this a little bit and share a brief 7-minute video. I'm going to see if I can add those already. Okay, so I went ahead and let me know, Sam, if you see that in there. Went ahead and just added that to the chat just to kind of look ahead a little bit. There, Sam?
Yes, I can see the questions in the chat. As for all panelists, should be able to see that at this point.
Okay, wonderful. So to piggyback a bit on what Sam mentioned and your activities, obviously specifically on conformity, but this is the broad vision. You've been discussing this in the past, obviously, as we've led up to previous plans too, but wanted to share specifically for this, for about the last 18 months, SANDAG staff has been developing this vision for the 2021 regional plan. And it really reimagines our transportation future into one that is convenient, equitable, and resilient to change. We started this discussion with the board of directors last year and the various supporting committees. And we more recently presented this vision concept to our policy advisory committees and board of directors in August. Since then, we've recently held a series of working group meetings to discuss this vision and share the video and ask these questions. That happened last week, actually, on October 29th. So this is kind of a bringing your working group into the fold there on that discussion. And so what we're doing today is sharing, again, share video and asking for input from you on vision and how that would affect sort of your activities and how you relate to your agencies and specifically to the upcoming regional plan. So you know, the way looking forward, the input that we gather is really critical to Sandag's task of turning this vision into a regional plan. And this is the 2021 regional plan, and addressing the challenges we all face in the San Diego region. So again, to get you up to speed on the vision, Sam's going to show a video, and then I'll kind of jump back in and kind of frame up these questions again. So Sam, if you want to go ahead and show the video.
I'm Colleen Clemenson, Planning Director for the San Diego Association of Governments. Today I want to show you the vision for Sandag's 2021 Regional Transportation Plan, a vision for a transportation system that's faster, fairer, and cleaner. One of the most important things Sandag does is develop a regional transportation plan, a long-term blueprint for how we will grow and how we will get around. We update this plan every 4 years to account for factors like population growth, economic trends, new laws, and evolving technologies. We took a different approach this time, making this one of our most transformational updates ever. Historically, Sandag planned to improve traffic by widening roadways where we have bottlenecks and adding transit in the same corridors, hoping people will use it. Now we have much better data about where people are coming and going, and new technologies have widely expanded our transportation options. Laws about air quality and protecting our environment have been strengthened, and the need to address social inequities has become urgent. And technology has matured to a point where we can dramatically improve what we have and realistically plan for new ways of getting around. Clearly, we must also account for the COVID-19 pandemic and all the unknowns it has created. At the same time, we must recognize the fundamental things that will remain the same. Our major residential areas, schools, universities, and job centers aren't going anywhere. 90% of what is here now will be here in the foreseeable future. And when the pandemic passes, we will have traffic congestion again. We are already seeing this, even though a good percentage of people are telecommuting. We need to be thinking for the long term, and we will need this vision. Our planning team spent the last 15 months pouring through data, reviewing mountains of public input, and researching the latest transportation innovations. What we have developed is a vision for a transportation system that's faster, fairer, and cleaner. Faster by reducing traffic congestion and speeding up transit, connecting our communities. Fairer by investing in a system that increases affordable transportation choices, and cleaner by ensuring we meet state and federal environmental standards. Today, our roadways are inefficient. Multiple studies have shown that adding lanes actually increases traffic. Within a matter of months, traffic jams return. We need to address the inequality in the transportation system as it relates to low income, minority and senior populations, and ensure that all of our residents have equal access to things like high quality jobs, education, and healthcare. There are many legislative mandates that must be met. State and federal laws call for reducing greenhouse gas emissions and reducing air pollution. New targets set by the state require the San Diego region to reduce the number of miles traveled per person. These laws require Sandag to meet the targets through transportation and land use solutions. By getting people to walk, bike, share rides in carpools, van pools, on transit, and making shorter trips. The newest state law, Senate Bill 743, requires that any transportation project that increases vehicle miles traveled, such as roadway widenings, must mitigate for that increase with a project that does not increase vehicle miles traveled, such as public transit, walking, and biking. We have some big challenges and some big goals. How do we get the job done? With the 5 big moves: flexible fleets, mobility hubs, transit leap, complete corridors, and the next operating system. 5 interreliant strategies that, when linked together, can link our transportation system in a way never done before. Together, they provide a new and powerful way of addressing the region's transportation problems that we've struggled with for decades. Transit rarely gets us within walking distance of where we want to go. We change that using the 5 big moves. Flexible fleets solve that problem by providing connections that extend the reach of transit, vastly increasing the number of people who could use transit as a viable commuting option. Mobility hubs connect communities across the region so that people will have an alternative to having to own a car. And for transit to be competitive with the automobile, it needs to be fast. This is what we call Transit Leap, commuter rail, light rail, and the next-gen rapid, all providing convenient, safe, affordable transportation. Complete corridors allow us to use technology to organize and manage our corridors and to streamline traffic in a more manageable way and provide equitable access to meeting our daily needs. The glue that really holds these strategies together is technology. We call it the Next OS. It allows us to optimize the overall system by wirelessly connecting vehicles, coordinating traffic signals, and providing real-time information for our travelers. This technology was not as mature a decade ago, but technology will dominate the future of transportation. Together, the 5 big moves are 5 interdependent strategies that give us a real shot at solving our transportation problems. That is what is so brilliant about this vision. The vision for the 2021 regional plan is a long-term investment in the region's future, developed through data, analysis, and input from you. The well-being of our region, this wonderful place we call home, depends on us to make meaningful changes today.
Great. All right. Thanks, Sam, for bringing that up. So as you can see, the vision for the 2021 regional plan is a bold, new, transformational vision for the region's future. So as I shared in the at the kind of outset of this item, shared a few kind of guiding questions just to seed some kind of to frame our dialogue today. Should you have any feedback or questions on this. I'll go ahead and just read through those just briefly here. So we're asking, what opportunities does this vision present from your perspective as a conformity working group member? What challenges do you think would need to be addressed for the vision to be successful? And is there anything regarding implementation in terms of how your agency is implementing your own plans? How is this supportive of that? So just wanted to share those. That's kind of how we've been kind of providing those questions for the dialogue that's been taking place, like I said, for the other working groups, and wanted to just ask if there's any feedback that you'd like to provide along those lines, or anything else that you would like to ask or provide based on the video information that was shared there. So I think I'll go ahead and just pass it back to Sam to guide the discussion and be here as a resource. And thanks for being able to have this item on your agenda today. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, Phil. And I do want to offer, if individuals want to think more about their responses or want to get back in a different format, feel free to email me and I can pass that information along to Phil and others on the regional planning team and the vision team. So there'll be multiple opportunities, but we did want to make sure that if anybody wanted to share any thoughts today, that they can. So I'll pause there for a moment and see if anybody would like to share.
Sam, I do see that Joseph Vaughn put something in the chat.
For some reason, I'm not seeing that chat. I see what Phil has posted.
It's no longer there.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe Joseph, try again. If I'm looking also, Sam, and I don't see any questions there or comments.
Okay. I think Joseph had to step out for a second and come back in, and so I just promoted him again from attendee to panelist.
Hey Sam, this is Nick at APCD. I can share just my comments, and I'll probably provide similar comments to what I did at the freight stakeholder working group, where I think these questions were similarly asked, and I think APCD is certainly supportive of the concepts in this plan. There's going to be a lot of interplay between this plan rolling out and then making sure our ozone attainment plan, which was recently adopted, there's the concepts within this regional plan that are going to be supportive of our efforts to attain the ozone standards. So just by that, we're certainly supportive of it, and wish you guys good luck in trying to get this through. So just wanted to share that. I shared it with the freight stakeholder working group, I think a week ago, but just wanted to share that.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that.
Thank you, Nick.
Hey, Phil, this is John Kelly at EPA. How are you?
Good. Hi, John. Good to see you.
Thanks. I just want to say it looks that was a great video, and I want to echo what Nick is saying. This is a game changer, and I was kind of curious. It seems so advanced. I was wondering how you thought it compared to other similar plans in Southern California and other parts of the country or the world or whatever, and just in the context of, the fast pace of technology change right now. And before we know it, there'll be the onset of driverless cars, and who knows what that's going to do to all those little last mile kind of solutions, or if it'll turn into, the whole trip, not just the last mile, if you get some car that can come and pick you up and take you wherever.
Yeah, thanks, John. And in terms of the other plans, either locally in Southern California or across the country, we've noticed that there has been this trend toward consolidating these kind of, we've put it in the 5 big moves conversation, which obviously brings in the technology in our operating system and significant expansion of transit and addressing first last mile needs and other specific areas. So, we are having, I would say maybe it's a little entry into other workshops. We will be having a binational workshop with our Mexican partners, but in addition, we're having a regional workshop where we're bringing in SCAG to discuss their plans too, which were recently adopted this last August, and they're looking at very similar things. So from a sort of mega regional perspective, it's intriguing. I would say we are very, very excited about this. This is a bold vision. This is a departure from the past, and really, I think its strength is in the combination of these strategies. And so kind of to your specific question about technology, we are still researching the autonomous vehicles. I think there's a lot of, in terms of modeling, it's challenging, right? I think we're working with the State Air Resources Board on how we do that, how we sort of look at through that lens of specifically the autonomous technology moving forward. I think we are excited about a next operating system specifically for the benefits we'll see for efficiency and for access for folks that I think can really be the glue that connects all the other 4 moves, right? So that is I think you're keying on a critical thing that we see as important as well. But yeah, thanks for your feedback.
Thank you.
This is Lucas Sanchez at Caltrans headquarters. I don't think I have any specific responses to the questions in the chat, but yeah, just to sort of echo the Air District and John Kelly, it looks good. I like the video. I think that's the first one I've seen for one of these visioning sessions. Definitely beats just talking through a bunch of bullet points. And yeah, you know, and just personally, I'm a big futurism nerd, and I love seeing these types of visions and these long-term things. It's a part of what being in transportation planning, it makes it exciting, you know, to look into that future and see some of these concepts. So yeah, looks good, guys. Thanks for sharing.
Thank you, Lucas.
Well, thanks everyone for sharing your thoughts. And again, if there are any other thoughts that come to mind after this meeting, please feel free that you can send those my way and I can route them to Phil and others. So if there's no other comments, I am going to move on to agenda item number 4. And thanks again, Phil, for walking us through that discussion. Agenda item number 4 is the draft 2021 Regional Transportation Improvement Program. And this is looking at the regional emissions analysis and modeling, and also an update to the project tables for the draft Rtip. So this is a part A-B on this agenda item. So an initial list of draft 2021 Rtip projects was distributed to the CWG on July 31st, 2021. And that had a list of capacity increasing and non-capacity increasing projects. On Tuesday morning, we sent out an update to the agenda, and that included an updated table for the non-capacity increasing projects. And Sue Alpert's going to join us in just a minute and just give us a quick summary of what those new NCI projects are. If you're looking at your agenda, you can find the list. It starts on page 8 of the PDF agenda. Now I'll turn it over to Sue to walk us through briefly what's included in that list.
Thanks, Sam. Yeah, as Sam mentioned, since we distributed the initial list, we have added a few more exempt projects to the 2021 Rtip. What's shown in your agenda item are only those new projects, not the entire list of NCI projects. But just to really quickly walk you through what's included, there were a couple of new shop projects that were added by the CTC. Those are shown individually, although they will eventually be included in a group listing. In addition, there were 2 projects from Sandag for the Del Mar Bluffs that were just accidentally omitted from the original list, but have been part of the Rtip in the past. There are 4 new projects that were added for the San Diego Airport Authority. And this is projects are part of the airport development plan. The first large project is added as engineering study as only in PE. And this is being programmed because they are seeking a federal fund type, a TIFIA loan that will require it to be in the TIP. And then the other 3 projects included there are mitigation projects for their program. They are intersection channelization around the airport. And then the last, there's 3 projects from the Bureau of Indian Affairs, and these are updated from the 2018 Rtip, but they weren't included in the initial list because we didn't have the information from the BIA that we've been able to receive that. And then finally, we have a couple of our comprehensive multimodal corridor plan projects that have been added, and these also will be included in group project listing when the entire 21 TIP is published. So that's it for this updated list.
Thank you, Sue. Does anyone have any questions regarding the updated NCI project list or the updates to the list? This is the pieces that are just being added. Okay. Well, thank you, Sue. We'll move on to part B of item 4. And this is more related to the actual documentation within the Rtip itself of emissions analysis. And so there's 2 documents that were shared with the CWG on October 16th. And we've requested comments back from the CWG by November 16th, giving it a 30-day window following our interagency consultation guidelines. The documents are included in the agenda and they are marked up already. So that's starting on page 15 of your agenda is the chapter on air quality conformity analysis. And so I want to thank John Kelly and Nick Cormier for providing comments already. John, your comments are already included. Nick, yours are not in the one that is published at this point, but it will be added into that. On page 22 is the emission analysis and modeling procedure, which is an appendix to the Rtip, and that has more of the details about the models that are being used and all the other inputs that go into that. So it goes through and documents for the 2021 draft Rtip, the financial constraint, since the Rtip is consistent with the federal RTP, which is a financially constrained document. The Rtip is constrained as well. As far as the regional growth forecast, we're using the 2014 series for the 2050 regional growth forecast. The travel demand model is the ABM activity-based model version 2. Emissions model will be MFAC 2017 with analysis years of 2023, 2030, 2040, and 2050. So those are the key aspects of it. Some of the comments to date were based on some dates that I slipped up on. I also do want to mention that within the emissions analysis piece, we do have a section that talks about the SAFE rule and that the adjustment factors that were released by CARB back in November of last year are applied to the MFAC 2017 outputs. The emission budgets that we are using are from the 2016 SIP, which are for the 2008 8-hour ozone standard. And these were found adequate for transportation conformity purposes back in 2017. And we're applying those same budgets for the 2015 standard utilizing the budget test, since we have the same geography as the previous ozone standard. As far as next steps for the 2021 Rtip, this item will be going to conformity, or excuse me, we're going to the SANDAG Transportation Committee, December 11th. Then after that, it will be released for, draft will be released for public comment in December with an anticipated final adoption slated for late February. Are there any comments or questions or anything else I should add to that, Sue, for the CWG, or any CWG members have any comments or questions?
Sounds good. Thank you, Sam.
Hey, Sam, just a quick question for me. This is Nick Cormier. So this is the 2021 Rtip, and then this is the one that you guys got a delay for legislatively, is that correct? And then if so, then are we going to be expecting another one of these in 2022 or 2023? Could you explain the timing of that? Just, I have to like beat it into my brain.
I can take a stab at it, or Sue, do you want to step in and you can get it right
Sure,
the first time?
Sure, I can jump in. Thanks, Nick. Yeah, right. The Rtip was delayed due to those adjustment factors needed, and while we were waiting for approval of those adjustment factors, we wouldn't have had time to meet the October 1st deadline. So Senate bill, I believe it was 2391, delayed or just basically eliminated the requirement for the state to submit an updated FSTIP in 2020. And so even though we don't have a requirement to do it, the state felt that it's still worthwhile to update the FSTIP. So that's what this effort will be. And yes, after this, we'll go back onto a regular schedule. So a new FSTIP will be prepared by the state in 2022 with a due date of October 1, 2022 and expected adoption federal approval in December of 22. And that'll be the 2023 FSTIP. So we have about, I don't know, a year and a half with this one, and then we'll be back at it pretty soon.
Okay, great. Thank you. That helps.
Any other comments or questions regarding agenda item number 4? Okay, moving on to agenda item number 5. So this is an update to the ozone SIP that has now been approved, and we have Nick Cormier from San Diego APCD to talk us through steps so far and what's coming next.
Yeah, thanks, Sam. So I don't have a huge update, but I'll just provide the group with, in case anybody hasn't heard about what's happened since the last meeting. We did go to our local San Diego Air Pollution Control Board for their consideration of the 2020 attainment plan. This is the for the 2008 and 2015 ozone standards. This included new motor vehicle emission budgets, and that went to our board on October 14th. It was unanimously approved on consent. So in other words, it wasn't controversial. Though we thought it might have been, it wasn't, so that's good. And the plan itself demonstrates that the region is predicted to attain the 2008 ozone standard by 2026 and attain the 2015 ozone standard in 2032. Those timelines will result in the region reclassifying to a severe non-attainment area for both standards. We didn't receive any real opposition to the plan at the meeting. We did receive a couple of letters of support for the plan, which included one from Sandag, which we sincerely appreciate, and then from a number of other organizations like the Port and Clean Cities Coalition, that sort of thing. So the attainment plan was submitted to CARB electronically on October 20th. And then their staff report, I think, came out. Actually, I think their staff report came out a couple days after our board meeting, if my memory serves me correctly. So you guys can take a look at that if you like. It's on the website. And so the next steps from here is that CARB will be considering the plan for approval. It's scheduled to be heard at CARB's board meeting on November 19th. So it's currently open for comment. And then if the CARB board approves the plan, then it will get submitted to EPA officially for the official SIP submittal. Just some other notes on that. The new emission budgets that are included within that plan, they obviously won't take effect until EPA either finds them adequate or approves them. So just the fact that they're in there currently is not an indication that they're in place as we speak. And then kind of supplementary to this group, but we have a number of local stationary source rules that are associated with that plan that either have to be amended or revised. Those will be happening within the next 6 to 12 months to complement the plan and kind of make sure it's all in place and can be approved when EPA reviews it and takes a look. So that's really all I had to share today, but I'm happy to answer any questions about it if there are any.
Thank you, Nick. Does anyone have any questions for Nick on the SIP process up to this point?
Maybe just a word to add to what Nick was saying is that we generally attempt to find budgets adequate if we're going to do so. We try to put it out for public notice that we're going to do that. We're contemplating that, and we'll post that on our OTAC website as usual. And that usually. Usually we try to get that process finished within like 90 days of submittal. So whenever we get this, you can expect to have new budgets within about 90 days that are adequate, not approved. And I think that we'll try to do an adequacy process on this because it will replace then the 2017 budgets. And I think, you know, we need to talk about, I think we have a separate meeting scheduled for this to discuss just what kind of conformity determinations you need to do in the next, say, half a year or whatever, before we you know, bump the area up and before you know, CAR would withdraw the old SIP and potentially turn off, you know, take away those RFP budgets that you mentioned earlier that we approved, that we found adequate back in 2017. So we look forward to sorting this all out and, you know, figuring out just how that timeline will work real soon.
Thank you, John, for sharing that. And congratulations, Nick, on the approval, the unanimous approval of the SIP through the San Diego Board, County Board of Supervisors. John, I did want to ask you, is there, since I'm new to this process as far as adoption of a new SIP and new budgets, is there, once budgets are approved or found adequate for transportation conformity, is there an implementation time frame or a phase-in piece to that, or is that pretty much start after the 90-day period or whenever that adequacy finding is delivered?
Yeah, I'm probably not the best person to answer this, and we did invite Karina O'Connor to our meeting that we'll talk about this in more detail. But basically, you know, I think that the process you've got going in place right now to do a conformity determination for your plan, or I don't know if it's one plan or both, but you're doing conformity right now. You're in the process, right? For the TIP and the RTP, basically. And so the fact that you started that process and you're relying on 2017, I think, you know, nothing should affect that. And I don't know if there's a grace period or what with newly adequate budgets, but I would assume that it would apply to any new conformity determination process that you started at that point. So after we've, you know, there will be an effective date, basically. I think we generally have an effective date of like 15 days after we publish in the Federal Register notice or something. So that'll be, you know, I would assume maybe March or April or something, if we get the plan this month. Maybe June, maybe May, June, if we get it next month. So yeah, I don't think it'll affect anything that you've got going on right now. It would just be something that would affect future determinations you'll need to get started on. But we'll talk more specifics with Karina. I'm sure she's been through this so many times. I kind of rely very heavily on her in this regard.
All right. Thank you so much, John. That is very helpful. I appreciate that.
Sure.
Any other comments or questions on the SIP? Okay, not seeing any. We will move on to, that is the last of our report items. Now we'll just go to upcoming meetings. So for the CWG for San Diego, we have our next meeting scheduled for December 2nd, again at our normal time of 10:30. At this point, we anticipate continuing to meet via this virtual platform of Zoom. I think it's a step up from the teleconference that we were using prior to this. But I did want to ask the group if there's any other meetings coming up that would be of interest to the CWG. Not hearing anything. Well, I want to thank everyone for your attendance and for your participation. And we look forward to seeing you again in December.
Thanks, Sam.
Thanks, Sam.
Thank you, Sam.
See you guys next time.
Thank you, Sam.
Okay, Linda, are you able to pause the recording? I don't see that functionality on my side.
No, I don't. Um,
I have a little cloud with a dot in it. It just says recording to the cloud.
yeah, go ahead and push that.
It's not an actual button, it's just an icon.
Yeah. Oh,
Oh, there we go. Stop recording.
you got it?